AskReddit by Evening Newspaper 35. Question for married men. What differentiated the woman you chose to be your wife compared to other women? Love that this has turned into a compliment your wife thread and makes me excited to find my woman to marry. Right? This is so wholesome. She's the first woman I dated who I felt I could just be myself with. I never had to impress her or felt like I needed to be anyone else but just me. That's exactly how I feel about my husband. She is smart, funny, and seemed like a really good person. My admiration for her grew the more I got to know her. Also, if I die, I hope she finds and reads this in my internet history. On our last anniversary I wrote 100 reasons why I loved her on pieces of paper and put them in a jar. A few were funny but all of them were true. I wrote the words in case tomorrow never comes on the jar. I put it in a place where I knew she would find it. She opened it and started reading. She didn't say words for almost an hour. Tell her somehow. Don't hope she reads it randomly on the internet. Other girls felt like I was visiting a place. My wife makes me feel like I'm home. This is how I feel with my husband. Well put. It's a kind of comfort that makes you feel safe to be your true, unmasked self around them. On our third date, I was driving her home after a wonderful time. We had watched a movie at my place, and started holding hands in the middle. We were young and inexperienced, so moving slow. We kissed before we started driving, and then on the way to her place, my car had a major fucking meltdown. My cruise control burned out and something fused. PT Cruisers are death traps, in addition to looking stupid, and I was unable to fully brake. Got off the freeway doing about 40, and had to pull my air brake and hope for the best. She never panicked, she just offered suggestions and remained calm, and once we were safe, she called AAA. I figured if she could handle that experience, she could handle just about anything. Been together 10 years, married for 6. It's funny you mention that, as my mom's reasoning for marrying my dad was the fact that they had gotten into a horrific car accident together and she figured if they could survive that then they could survive anything. They didn't, but it's a very funny story regardless. I always wanted her to stay. Other girls I was always longing to be alone. Can you say more? I'm in a relationship where I often just want to be alone. And I always think it's something wrong with me, like I just have to suck it up and learn to be with someone. Lately, there's a part of me that is hoping I wouldn't feel this way with someone else. She was the first woman I dated with a really good head on her shoulders. Smart with money. Responsible but fun. And wanted to know all my friends and go on every adventure with me. Marrying her was the best decision I ever made. NGL. I was scrolling by, saw really good head and the rest of your comment did not go where I expected. We're both the same type of weird. We laugh at the same stuff while our friends make weird faces about it. We hate most of the same things. We both have a sense of humor that pretty much only one another really appreciate. She's my everything. My wife is legitimately funny. I always relied on friends to make me laugh. When I found her, it was an epiphany. The idea I could live with and love someone who made me laugh so deeply and sincerely was surreal to me. Her family is just as funny. I struck gold. She was kind, authentic, earnest, deeply committed to healing and a healthy relationship. But I didn't know that when I first laid eyes on her and knew I'd marry her. But it sure worked out well. We had much more in common. Financially, philosophy, housekeeping, and political. Those were the 4 corners we both were looking for. Honestly, housekeeping is huge. I love my husband, but it took years of me bringing things up and pointing things out for him to realize how I like things organized and put away. She said, "Are you going to ask me to marry you, or what?" We'd been friends for 5 years at that point and had been very definite that we were just friends, not getting into a relationship, etc. She was better than me at noticing our friendship had just turned into love over time. We got married a year later, and that was 14 years ago. We got to know each other, we found out we were long-term compatible, and we fell in love slowly and solidly. My other relationships had definitely been us falling in lust, in hindsight. Plus, she could not only put up with my shitty puns, but hold her own with them. Definite keeper. Any partner that doesn't punish you but laughs at puns is a window to their heart. Her uncanny ability to tolerate me, for 24 years. I'm almost 6 years in, but this has proven to be very true. Lol, I'm sure I can be a lot to handle from time to time. As with all, timing. That is what my grandmother told my sister. You have to get them at the right time in their lives. I've actually seen scientific studies that would agree with her. We started dating at 18, and she was very responsible, thoughtful, gorgeous, and she had ambitions that she was working towards turning into reality in her own life. In short, she was already very grown up and way out of my league. I, on the other hand, only cared about my life on a day-to-day or week-to-week basis, and I had a lot of growing up to do. At one point I actually broke up with her because I wanted to see what the dating world was like, and after I went on a single date each with 4 other women I realized I was absolutely insane for breaking off my relationship. We got back together, and I resolved to become the man that is her equal and life partner. 16 years later I am still working hard every day to be at my wife's level. I just knew. Was not expecting it. Then one day just knew I was with the right woman. She may not be perfect, but she's perfect for me. There were a bunch of us hanging out together, and being one of the few with a car, I took people home after. She was the best to talk with, and I started making sure she was last to be dropped off. Then I started driving extra just so we could keep talking. Married 43 years this summer, still happy together. I can be myself around her. No, that's not good enough. I am empowered to be myself around her. When we're alone, there's no pretense, no judgment, no filter. There is intrinsic, natural, constant trust. She is herself and I am myself, and we encourage each other to be the best version of ourselves. I don't have to pretend with her. Every other woman I'd been with, there was definitely some measure of pretending. Oh, and we absolutely crack each other the fuck up. I mean, my sense of humor is lame but she likes it, but she is absolutely bonkers hilarious in a way I've never seen in anyone else. Oh, and she's sexy with nice boobas. That's definitely not a factor. This is totally the answer. Empowered to be myself goes both ways and is perfect. She was ambitious, clever, attractive, and kind. When I realized I wanted her smile to be the last I see every night, and the first I see every morning. After we had our first big argument during our dating phase, I was sick with a runny nose and fever. She went to the drugstore and got some medicine and such for me. Even when she was mad at me, she still thought to help me, and that's how I knew she truly cared. When COVID first came out I got a severe case. Hospital sent me home because there were no beds at any nearby facility. Was given instructions to call 911 if it got any worse. For 3 days my wife sat next to the bed with her finger ready to dial. For 3 days I didn't think I was going to make it. She didn't move from my side the entire time. We had been married less than a year at that point. I knew I had the right woman. I asked my husband this about a week ago. He said the sex was mind-blowing and my mind was sexy. I must still do it for him because I was just diagnosed with breast cancer and he made it clear he's in for the long haul. Good luck with everything. Married someone who appreciates my knack for finding bargains on the most random things online. Together, we're the unbeatable bargain hunting duo. Got any promo codes? Kindness. I love her. That's why I married her. It was not really a choice, I had to do it. I had a long history of dating people who were, quite honestly, mean, insufferable, and with almost psychotic levels of narcissism and emotional unintelligence. My wife is so incredibly kind, caring, and emotionally intelligent that she changed everything about my misanthropic view of relationships.